Today, I'm reviewing Journey to Atlantis at SeaWorld San Diego, the second of the chain's Mack water coasters. On the outside, San Diego's Atlantis looks reminiscent of the Orlando version. However, it's just a shell of the original. And I'll openly admit I'd probably have a better opinion of this ride if the superior Orlando version didn't exist. San Diego's version copies the framework of the coaster section, a big straight drop in the first half and a twisting drop in the second half. But the plot in between these segments has been completely eradicated. There is no storytelling on this attraction, and I think that's its downfall. Like the Orlando version, San Diego's Journey to Atlantis has this impressive looking facade. But unlike the Orlando version, that beautiful facade has nothing on the inside. It's like getting a fancy wrapped gift for Christmas, but having nothing on the inside. I was optimistic this would be addressed during the ride's extended refurbishment last year, but the only changes I noticed were a new color palette for the exterior of the attraction. So let's run through the ride. San Diego's Journey to Atlantis forgoes the dark ride section to start the ride, and you immediately go up this lift hill. You coast around an unbanked turn, and it actually gives some decent laterals, oddly enough, and then you zip down the ride's big straight drop. This drop, while sizable for a water coaster, unfortunately lacks the pop of airtime you get in some of the other Mack water coasters. And then comes the Splashdown, and this will get you very wet no matter where you sit. It's a stark contrast to some of the other Mack water coasters. And that's not all. The subsequent turn has several water cannons locked, loaded, and ready to fire when guests deposit 25 cents. Some may find this a negative, but I actually don't mind considering how hot it gets on a California summer day. You then float back towards the building, and this is the part of the ride that's really boring. Unlike some log flumes where you're deep in the woods, Journey to Atlantis takes place on a wide open plot of land, so there really isn't anything exciting to look at during this part of the ride. Eventually you reach the ride's dark ride sequence, but it takes the term dark a bit too seriously. This building houses the ride's elevator lift. Now this would be an opportunity for a storytelling component, but instead the ride takes this section in complete darkness and silence. It makes the ride feel soulless. I do have to give Mack credit though that this elevator lift system is quite ingenious how one shaft is able to accommodate two boats simultaneously, one at the top and one at the bottom, by having them bank outwards when they pass each other in the center. It's a system a few other manufacturers later copied, and that bank will catch you off guard because it's in total darkness, so maybe that was the intent of having it this dark? When you re-emerge into the daylight, you enter into the coaster section. San Diego's does have an extra drop over Orlando's, but I prefer the version in Orlando because that drop is enclosed. In San Diego, the drops are out in the open, and since those drops aren't particularly steep, there's no real thrill here. And this ultimately leads into the final splashdown, which is surprisingly dry considering how wet you get on the first splashdown. So what do I rate Journey to Atlantis? Unfortunately, I give it a 4 out of 10. It doesn't really succeed as a dark ride, and it doesn't really succeed as a coaster either. In my opinion, it's just a glorified shoot the chute with a fancy facade. Do you agree with me on San Diego's Journey to Atlantis, or am I being a bit harsh on this Mack water coaster? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this ride below, and stay tuned for more coaster reviews here at Canopy Coaster.